This is Neural Newscast.
The day's essential briefing for Monday, April 20th, 2026.
I'm Noah Feldman.
And I'm Isabel Moreno.
Brazil and Argentina have finalized a framework for the CER, a shared digital currency designed for bilateral trade. The agreement allows the two largest economies in South America to conduct commerce without relying on United States dollar reserves.
The CER will act as a common unit of account for the Mercosur trade bloc. This move is intended to lower transaction costs and protect regional markets from exchange rate volatility. Officials clarified that the CER is a settlement currency and will not replace national legal tender.
A pilot program focusing on the automotive and agricultural sectors begins this July. Central banks from both nations are currently building a joint clearinghouse to manage the digital ledger and maintain cross-border liquidity.
This development signals a broader push for economic autonomy in Latin America. It follows a global trend of regional blocs developing alternative payment systems to reduce their dependence on traditional Western financial infrastructure.
In the European Union, Parliament has passed the Skills Passport Act to standardize professional certifications across 27 member states. The law establishes a verified digital identity for workers, allowing credentials in healthcare, engineering, and technology to be recognized instantly.
The regulation aims to mitigate labor shortages by simplifying relocation for professionals. It effectively removes the bureaucratic diploma verification processes that have historically slowed cross-border hiring in the Eurozone.
The focus here is on speed. The European Commission expects to issue the first digital passports to new graduates by the end of the year, accelerating the entry of new talent into the workforce.
In Sudan, negotiators in Jeddah have secured a 72-hour humanitarian ceasefire between the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces. The pause is meant to facilitate the delivery of food and medical supplies to civilians in Khartoum and Darfur.
African Union monitors will oversee the truce to protect aid convoys. While previous ceasefires have failed, diplomats point out that both sides have agreed to specific internationally protected corridors for the first time.
The international community is monitoring the situation to see if this window can lead to formal peace talks. Humanitarian groups have already staged supplies at the border to ensure they reach those in need during the 3-day window.
Researchers at MIT have announced a breakthrough in solid-state battery density that may change short-haul commercial aviation. The new design uses a ceramic electrolyte that doubles the energy capacity of current lithium-ion batteries.
This technology directly addresses the weight challenges that have limited electric flight. Aerospace firms are now looking at prototypes for 19-seat commuter planes, with flight testing projected for 2028.
Safety is also a significant factor here. Because solid-state designs are non-flammable, they require less complex cooling and heavy shielding compared to existing airborne battery systems.
The Bank of Japan has raised its short-term interest rate to 0.75%, the highest level since the early 2000s. Governor Kazuo Ueda cited persistent inflation and a stabilizing wage price spiral as the primary reasons for the hike.
This marks the end of Japan's decade-long era of ultra-loose monetary policy. Markets saw an immediate appreciation of the yen, which may impact Japanese exporters while providing some relief to domestic consumers.
Economists expect the rate normalization to attract more foreign investment into Japanese bonds. However, higher borrowing costs may create challenges for small businesses that have relied on near-zero interest for years.
Mexico City is launching the first Global Indigenous Arts Biennial, featuring works from over 50 ethnic groups across the Americas. The event is funded by regional governments to promote cultural preservation and economic opportunity.
Curators will present traditional weaving and pottery alongside contemporary digital media. The biennial aims to build a sustainable market for these artists and highlight narratives often missing from the mainstream art world.
The event also seeks to secure intellectual property rights for indigenous designs. Organizers hope to establish a certification of authenticity to protect traditional motifs from commercial misappropriation, as you noted, Isabel.
The Global Literacy Alliance reports that AI-powered tutoring has helped increase literacy rates in rural communities by 15% over the past year. The study focused on programs in Southeast Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa that provide offline educational access.
The success of these localized language models suggests technology can bridge gaps in areas lacking physical schools or teachers. It offers a scalable model for workforce preparation as digital literacy becomes a global standard.
The Alliance is now calling for more funding to expand these programs into more dialects, Noah. They view consistent access to basic education as a vital strategy for long-term regional stability.
Here's what else we're watching. The United States Department of Labor will release the April employment report tomorrow morning at 8:30. Analysts anticipate steady job growth in the service sector, despite high interest rates.
In Berlin, the G7 Energy Summit begins Tuesday. The primary focus will be global grid security, with ministers expected to sign a memorandum on protecting undersea power and telecommunications cables.
Finally, the launch window for the 5th orbital flight test of SpaceX Starship opens this Wednesday. The mission will attempt a controlled splashdown of the upper stage in the Indian Ocean as part of the push toward full reusability.
Tomorrow, we'll examine the role of vocational training in the renewable energy sector as global demand for solar technicians continues to rise.
This has been Neural Newscast. Thank you for listening.
Neural Newscast is AI-assisted, human-reviewed. View our AI transparency policy at neuralnewscast.com.